This conference will now be recorded.
All right. I started the recording right on time. Everything was good, but that darn lady wouldn't speak up and say it was being recorded. So I hit the button again and it shut her up. Let's get going. It's showtime on day 4 of our 5-day journey here. Today we're going to talk about listing, and in prep for listing, we're going to talk about getting the couplings and the hangers on our projects. Um, Everybody's been great. I can't think of a class where I've enjoyed the interaction more than with you guys. So keep up the great work on the mute and unmute stuff. Uh, from time to time, I've seen somebody call in, so I know that the phone number works. And I'm gonna take a quick time out for an ad here. Um, I'm gonna I'm going to encourage everybody to make sure that you pay attention to that update available button. It might even be red on your screen. If it's red, it means that the update includes the next higher version of Revit. And not to worry, you don't have to have Revit 26 to be running HydroCAD for Revit version 26. Um, So pay attention to that button, pick it, and do the download, and then leave Revit, come back and leave Revit, find that in downloads and run it, come back in and double check that the version is now 26.1.00000. I will just kind of read off here. It says that button, the blue arrows or the red arrows, tells you there's an update available. If you do the help pull down and pick on version history, that's a list of what's changed in the update. And then you can decide when to download it and when to run it. And most of all, do not be in Revit when you run it, or it won't actually update anything. There is a very exciting update in the offing. Dave, do you remember our conversation about the center to center and the cut lengths and the dynamic lengths and the difference between them? Dave, I see you there, but your mic is muted.
Think he had to step away for a second. I see him
Uh,
walking back right now.
cool. We're gonna give him a minute then, Drew. Thanks. Dave, can you hear me yet?
Sorry, someone needed my help real quick, so I just
I
got back
don't
to my
doubt it.
desk.
I don't doubt it. And I was one of them. I need your help seeing if you can remember our conversation about center to center dimensions, cut dimensions, and dynamic dimensions. Can you
Ooh, I remember the conversation. Do I? I don't know if I remember everything.
um, can but do you remember you were concerned about, hey, why is there even a difference between the center to center and the dynamic? And I said, one's ugly,
hmm
the other one's
hmm
pretty, but the pretty one you have to run tag pipes again to make sure that the values are up to date.
The value's up. Yeah. hmm
Um, I'm trying to sell everybody on the idea before Thursday to pay attention to the update available button. If it's
Okay.
there, I'm
hmm
saying click on it, download it, leave Revit, and go run that update. Um,
Well, I like to keep my stuff updated too. Yeah.
Excellent. Now this may not happen by Thursday, but I'm claiming there's a very exciting update in the offing, which is that in the next release that we release, which could be any day, could be within the week, um, that center to center and the cut lengths are automatically updated. They're always up to date, just like the
Mm,
dynamic ones.
Okay.
So our whole conversation was for naught. It's
Okay.
use
All right.
whichever one is the prettiest, and it'll just work.
All right.
Um, and I I don't know if you can tell I'm excited about that. Good, because I am. Okay, so that was my ad for. Don't forget about seeing the update button and run it
Hmm.
as soon as is practical for you. Now we're getting down to brass tacks for today. We've got blue slides and we got yellow slides. So hopefully we can get through all of them on schedule today. The blue slides talk about hangers and couplings. Um, you can run a stock list without doing hangers and couplings, but the pipes would be too long if you didn't put the couplings in, and that won't it won't crash, but it'll nudge you and say, "Hey, that's kind of a long pipe, doesn't fit on the truck." And the hangers are kind of a one third, one third, one third. There's about a third of the people I've talked to that said hanger schmangers. We just send out a bunch of rod and ring and stuff, and the field takes care of it. And there are other guys say, no, no, no. We make sure we get enough rod and enough ring, and we send that out, and the field takes care of it from there. And about a third of the people I talk to say, oh, no, no, no. We cut every hanger down to the quarter of an inch and we mark them and we bundle them, and the field always uses those to hang the pipe. So the stock list will run without the hangers, but I'm going to show you how to put them on there and see where you fit in one of those three categories. Um, at this point, I'm going to stop sharing. Dave, bad news. We got another volunteer. Michael Ewell volunteered to drive this morning. So if it's
Oh,
okay with you, I'm going to ask him to share. I'll make him
that's
the
cool.
presenter.
Yep.
So let me go to Michael and say make presenter. And this first time, if I don't think it is, if this is the first time you're sharing your screen, Michael, just um, pay real attention to, you're going to share the screen that Revit is on. Don't share Revit.
Yeah, I'm pretty good.
Um, and Michael downloaded the project I sent as the start for today. If you're comfortable with the one you've been working on, you can continue to work on it. But then he got this message. Is this the one? Yeah. He got this message about there's this thing going on. And there was a little bit of a buildup in my talking about the update. I updated to that new pipe size updater, and then I did some work on the start thing and I saved it. That's
You
where
got the
this is.
beta version, didn't you?
Yes. I subsequently unupdated so that on my computer, the rest of my practice was done with the same version you have. So failed to open, failed to save, and it's in front of us like it's there. So let's do a save as and just get your name in there somewhere. All righty then. And I'll say by default, it opened on the fire protection submittal plan. And we can probably do a lot of our work right on that plan. And I'm revisiting, if we put hangers on, a hanger is an object and it'll show up in all the other views. If I tagged the hangers, the tags would show up in this view, and by default, they wouldn't show in any other view unless I tagged the other view or copied them from here. Just a reminder that there's objects and there's annotations. So the hydraulic reference points are annotations, and they don't just automatically show up on all the views when you put them on. That being said, let's see, Michael, if you can open that PDF and find slide 6. And we're going to put in couplings, and we're going to put them in 3 different ways. We're going to just put one on, and then get real fussy about locating it. Then we're going to put one every 21 feet. We're just going to say start near this end and then go every 21 feet toward the other end. And then we're going to say, here's a line. Everywhere that line crosses the branch line or the pipe, put a coupling where that line crosses the pipe. So the first one I want to do is put a single coupling on 1 foot either side of the office wall. And let me try and describe that. I think if we just bring up Revit, I can describe it easy enough. So on the cross main at that column line, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at column line 5. Let's pretend that office wall extends past the cross main, and I want to put a sleeve through the wall, and I want to put a coupling on either side of that sleeve. So if you zoom right in like that, I'm a happy camper, Michael. And then we're going to go to the HydroCAD ribbon, and we're going to click on the coupling button. And I see you're into the shortcuts already. I love it. And in here is add coupling manually. So you can kind of use this all by itself just for one coupling. And right there is a perfect place. So just click on the main there and it'll put a coupling in. And you can pick on that place on the other side and put a main there. Escape, escape, escape. Dave, you probably know about SL or split element.
Mm-hmm.
The advantage to this one is you see it broke the pipe and it put dimensions on.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one says, oh, I need to make 2 pipes. One of them keeps the dimension and the other one you'll have to. The other advantage for me, Dave, is that SL just doesn't make sense to anybody. It's on the system. It's on the modify ribbon, and you don't think to go there. Sprinkler stuff is on the Hydrotech ribbon, and
Yeah, I've never really liked that. I use it a lot, but I don't like how it works. So I'll say that.
cool. Well, hopefully you'll like this one.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to get it exactly a foot. And to do that, this is a feature we can use to locate a pipe exactly someplace, or a sprinkler head, or in this case, a coupling. We're going to use DI, or the quick access toolbar where it says aligned dimension, and pick on one side of the wall there, David, Michael, and then click on, I'd like to click on the middle of the coupling, but I found that pretty shy. See if you can, it's like it just won't grab a place. That's not a good place. That's going the wrong direction. So click on one side or the other of the coupling. Good. And now pick on nothing for it to park that dimension. I'm telling you, I've done this before, Michael, and the coupling is 2 inches wide. So if I want the middle of that coupling 1 foot off the wall, then that dimension is going to want to be 0 foot 11. You with me? And escape, escape, escape. You'd like that dimension to be 0 foot 11. Are you tempted to click on the dimension and change it to 0 foot 11?
Yeah, I was just gonna move it down to 11 inches.
Okay, you were going to move it. Go ahead. He's not being very cooperative, but I don't want to make you wrestle with that too much. Escape, escape, escape. Don't pick on the dimension. Pick on the coupling. And do you see what happened to the dimension? You should be able to type the dimension in. Yeah, it's hiding.
The text
Click
is
on,
very small.
yeah,
You gotta zoom in on it.
there it is. And then just type 0 space 11 or 11 inches. But that's
There's a way to make it bigger when you do that, but when you select the
I'm
coupling,
all ears. Let's do it on the other side. Erase that dimension because he's good. and do the DI and dimension
from there to the side of the coupling, and then pick on nothing. Okay, and now escape, escape, escape. Pick on the coupling. And Dave, how do we make that bigger?
Go into your options. So file options. Yeah, because I got tired of it being tiny.
Yes, yes.
And go to graphics, I think. I don't do it that often. But yeah, right in the middle there where it says size 18. Make it whatever
It's,
you want.
okay,
And
so
then I
size
make
8.
it opaque instead of clear. Or
Okay.
instead of transparent.
Yes,
Because it's
yes.
temporary dimension, so I
Yes,
want to
yes.
see it.
It's going away anyway. Just let
So
me
hit
see it
OK.
while it's there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now select your coupling. It's a little bit bigger now.
I like it.
Yeah.
Nice. I guess it pays off to drive.
Michael, do you appreciate why we're picking the coupling and not the dimension?
Yeah, because it's the dimension is tied in or annotative to the coupling.
Yes. And also, if we just pick on the dimension, Revit's saying, Michael, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to move the wall, or do you want me to move the coupling, or do you want me to move both? What? If you pick on the coupling, then Revit knows what you want to move is the coupling. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. And I'm up for erasing that dimension too. We could clean it up, but it's not critical to us. Okay, now you see it still says 2 foot 10.5, and this is what I was talking about with Dave a few minutes ago. Do a WW and pick on the pipe, and then go tag pipe. You can either type TP or go to Hydrotech tag pipe. And we're going to call this center to center and use System Walker and pick OK or continue. And Dave, do you see how that recalculated? And it takes that up. It didn't move it. It didn't recreate it. It simply recalculated the length. So if you had invested in cleaning it up, it would be fine. It would still be cleaned up. But now it's not just cleaned up, but it's got the right value in it. That's what I was bragging about. The next update should make easier.
If we were using dynamic centers or dynamic lengths, would it automatically update?
Yes, it would. There's two downsides to dynamic. One is that it's ugly, and you can get over that easy enough. The other one is that it's the actual length of the pipe. So it'll serve as a substitute for the cut lengths, but it won't serve as a substitute for the center to center lengths. And on this pipe, they happen to be the same, but move to the right. I want to see stuff to the right of this. That elbow, you see the 310.5? That's the center to center, from the center of that riser nipple to the center of the feed main. And if somebody's trying to review the hydraulic calculations, they want to be adding 3 foot 10.5 in there, not 3 foot 6.5.
Got it.
They got, with more and more pipe being welded, the center to center and the cut is often the same, but it's not always the same. Okay, let's treat ourselves to slide number 7. That says, okay, now the long pipes that are left over, I want to break up into 21-foot length pipes. And to do that, we want to fill out the dialog box kind of the way I have it shown there. I'm going to use distance between couplings 21 feet. I'm going to go a minimum distance of 4 inches. That's knuckle room. You can't put a coupling right at a pipelet. You can't really put it 1 inch away from a pipelet. 4 inches is probably a minimum. And if there's a really long run of pipe, the little gap between the ends of the pipe where you put the coupling kind of gangs up on you. If you had 160 feet of pipe, you'd have 8 couplings, and if each coupling gave you an extra eighth of an inch, your overall length wouldn't be 160, it would be 160 foot one. So we account for that by putting that gap in there. So let's start the coupling command again and fill out that dialog box. 21, 0 foot 4, and 0 foot 0 and an eighth. Should be good. If you hit enter, it redoes it. Just hit the enter key. No? Click on one of the other boxes. There you go. That's a way of confirming that you've spelled it good enough for him to figure it out. And now we're going to pick on add couplings, and I want to put couplings along the cross main. You have continuous filled out. That's great. That says once we do it, we don't have to come back to the dialog box. We can do it again and again. So pick add couplings and zoom out. I want to put couplings along that cross main. And Michael, do you have a preference? Should we go 21 feet starting from the left end of the cross main, or should we do 21 feet starting from the right end, or does it not matter?
Probably where the fitting is on this side, since it's already a fitting.
So start there and go every 21 feet.
So you would start like on this fitting or on this pipe?
In HydroCAD for AutoCAD, you had to pick like on the right side of the very last rightmost pipe, and you had sometimes to zoom way in because it was a short pipe. In Revit, you can pick anywhere on the right half of that whole run of main, and it'll start at the right end of that. Now, in this case, I'm not sure that it did anything because 3 foot 10 and a half, 10 feet, and 3 foot 8 gets us to a coupling, and that's already less than 21 feet. And then after the 2 foot 8, now there's a long run of pipe, and you want to start at that end and put couplings going to the left.
2.5.
So you put some more.
They have 11.2.
Someone taught me this and I've used it ever since, Michael. I generally start at the end and work back to the beginning so that if there's a short piece, it's in the middle of the piping, not a little wiggly short piece at the very end. Anything works. It's not one is right and one is wrong, but I'll just mention that. Now I want to do the branch line. Well, while we're doing mains, there's also a cross main, and I think that's longer than 26, 25, 21 feet. So pick
and then start
the top or the bottom of that. Pick near the top or the bottom of that cross main, and put the coupling in for us for that. And 21 foot 4 is the center to center. The actual length of the pipe is going to be 21. Make sense?
Yeah, so it automatically takes into account for the fittings and stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't show that with the center scene.
Right. And now I want to do one more 21 foot length on the furthest left branch line. Pick near the south end of that branch line because that south end was longer than 21 feet. So we've got a 21 foot piece, 0 foot 6, 10 feet, 10 feet, 0 foot 6, and then less than 21 as a starter piece, and going the other way is less than 21. Okay, and 3 more clicks and we'd have all the couplings done, but wait, I want to show you another way to do it. Escape, escape, escape. If you had 30 branch lines instead of just 4 more or 3 more, and if you were fussy about where the branch lines wanted to have the couplings, you want them all lined up, then another option is to look on page or slide number 8, where I talk about using DL, that's a detail line, and we're going to draw a detail line across the other 3 branch lines, and then we're going to use the coupling command with an option that says break across line, and then we'll just pick on the line and we'll put it in the other 3 couplings. So let's go back here, zoom in on that on that 0'6" piece. Perfect. And then escape, 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 and type DL. And I think you can try the ear, try the ear of the coupling. That's pretty darn close, but I think you can get like the midpoint of that thing. There you are. And now draw across those other 3 branch lines. And just the 3, because the ones to the right of that are threaded. And then escape, 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 and then do the coupling command. And in the lower left-hand corner is break coupling over a line. And then you see that 21 feet, and that went away. And then we're going to say add couplings and pick on the line. Perfect. And then at your option, you can delete that line.
A detail line is essentially a def point line.
A def point line, fair enough. It's like a construction line.
Construction line.
Still prints.
It does print, yes.
Yeah.
But it's an annotation object, so it shows up in this view, but it doesn't automatically show up in all the other views. Whereas a model line or a pipe drawn in this view shows up in all the other views. All righty then, let's move on to slide 9. And now we're going to do hangers. So we've done couplings 3 different ways, and you can mix and match those ways any way you want. And hangers have 4 different ways you can put them on. You can put one on just by picking, you define it, you pick a pipe that puts a hanger there. You can close your eyes and pick a big old window around a whole bunch of pipes and fill out the dialog box, and it'll put a hanger on every one of those pipes that's 2 feet or longer, and it will just put it at the middle of the pipe. That second way is really good for that third of the people I've talked to that say, I just want to make sure I send enough hanger material. I'm not going to actually cut it ahead of time, but I want to make sure I get the right number of 1-inch rings and 1.25-inch rings and all of that. So by putting a hanger tick on every pipe longer than 2 feet, we'll be able to get that easy. The third way is to draw lines like we just did for the couplings and say put a hanger every place that line crosses the piping. And then the fourth way is start with an interval similar to the 21 feet couplings routine. It'll go 1 foot from the end, and then every 10 feet after that, or 6 inches from the end and every 10'6" after that, whatever you specify for the start and the increment. So besides those 4 different ways you can put hangers on, there are like 6 different kinds of hangers. There's a top beam clamp, a rod, and a ring. Then there's a trapeze hanger. Then there's a riser clamp, a pipe stand, a clevis hanger, trapeze made out of angle iron or unistrut. So there's a bunch of different kinds. The 4 ways apply to all those different kinds. So we're going to start with the basic ring hanger, and I'll put it on 4 different ways, and then I'll show you the 6 different kinds of hangers. So let's start by clicking on the hanger button in the HydraCAD ribbon. And the very first time you use this command takes a little longer than the rest of the time it's loading those hangers into your project. And then where it says hanger family, do you see it says adjustable ring hanger? Just pull that down. Those are those 6 different kinds of hangers that I was talking about. I don't know if I counted right or not, but there's about a half a dozen kinds of hangers. Most of them have only one type. There's a ring hanger and it's a ring hanger. The ring hanger itself, though, if you look in the next dialog, in the next pull down below that under family type, there's the ring hanger and the clevis hanger. So there's two different types of that one. We'll leave it on the ring hanger. So the first two determine what the geometry is going to be that gets added to your model. The third one that says hanger assembly has to do with the stock listing. And the list that you're seeing there, Michael, came, I'm pretty sure I recognize it as out of the box installation of Hgrs list. So we've defined a whole bunch of material for a whole bunch of different kinds of hangers. In here, I'm going to have you pick on 01 right at the top there. But that determines what material is going to get listed associated with that geometry that we picked in the first two boxes. Below that is how long is this hanger going to be? And we could just specify, make them all 1 foot long, or if you click on the next button up from length over there on level, and then to the right, it says level. There's a pull down for level, which only has one level in it right now because of our simple 60 by 80 foot warehouse. But the offset is going to be like 20 feet. We're hanging to 20 feet above level 1. So the hanger will be long enough to get from however high the pipe is to 20 feet above level 1. If we had a Revit model here, we could pick on that top one that says to the bottom of the roof or a floor above me, and it would just go looking up for a roof and hang to that. Okay, any
Do we just put in our own level?
How do you mean?
Like add our own level to say
Okay.
this is how high we want the hangers to go or something?
Okay, so we could conceivably use Revit to define another level
Another
called
level.
roof.
Yeah.
And roof could be at 20 feet above level 1. And then you could say level roof and offset 0.
Offset. Okay. That answered it.
And sometimes I'll point this out. Sometimes the next level up is the second floor, so it would be level 2. But level 2 is the top of the second floor. So the offset you want to put in, if you say go to level 2, the offset might want to be minus 5 inches or something.
Fine. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Just want to know how that worked. Thanks.
And then nothing works if you don't check it. So after we put a couple of these in, we'll take a look. So let's pick OK, and let's pick on one of the branch line pipes in the lower right-hand corner. That one, perfect. And where you picked, it put a tick mark. I see it, it's just below the 19 feet. And if you pick on the next piece of pipe, where you pick, it puts a tick mark. Escape, escape, escape. I want to show you a couple and then we'll check them. So now pick the next 3 pieces of branch line pipe there.
To the left?
Keep going north on that same branch line. Click, control click. In AutoCAD, when you click another thing, that's perfect. Like you've got in AutoCAD, when you pick a second thing, it adds it to the first one. In Revit, this is the reverse of it. You have to hold Control key down, or else it replaces the second pick it replaces the first pick with the second pick.
Yeah, I'm still used to Shift.
Yes. And Shift being the reverse of it is if you want to take it out. If you wanted one less pipe than you've selected, you hold Shift down and pick on one of those pipes. Okay, so let's open the hanger dialog again. And this time pipes are already selected. Everything we filled out is still good. Go ahead and pick OK. And those pipes each got a hanger tick at the middle of them. Do I speak the truth? Yeah, they're not jumping out yelling at us, but there they are. Each pipe is longer than 2 feet, and it got a hanger tick at the middle of it. I think I've skipped one slide already. Why don't we go to slide 10? So use the complete options dialog. As shown, reselect the hanger's trapeze, pick the south end of a welded line, and note added hanger couplings. Okay, so no, this is slide 10 is the third way we can put in hangers. And the third way is by specifying a start distance and then an interval. So we want to start maybe a foot off the end of a run or 6 inches off the run of a pipe, and then every 10 feet after that. To do that, let's go back to Revit. Let's open, and I want to put like couplings every 10 feet on that second branch line. So, so start the hanger routine again and go to the options thing. And we're in the middle there, it says auto hang. But you were just, I'm sorry, Michael, you were just on that box that says minimum length of pipe. I told you if it's 2 feet or longer, it's going to get a hanger on it. That's where that gets specified. So it's not really 2 feet, it's whatever's in that box. But I want to say yes, auto hang, and start 0'6". The initial offset is 0'6". And then the repeating offset is 10 feet. And then you have to sneak back to hanger/trapeze, then pick OK, and pick near the south end of that second branch line. Perfect. And now escape, escape, escape. And you see it went 6 inches from the end, then it went 10 feet, and went 10 feet, and went 10 feet. And we didn't get one at the bitter end because 10 feet was beyond that last pipe. So we'd need to stick one more in there. All right. And now I want to go to slide 11. And this time we're going to use detail lines to put hangers everywhere the detail line crosses a pipe. So we're going to use DL to create the detail line. I'm interested in some reaction from you folks. I had a wicked hard time getting everybody to buy into there's a ribbon and then there's a panel and then there's a button. I've struggled with that for 10 years now. I'm trying out a new scheme on that. Can you go back to that slide for a second? In order to find the detail line button, I'm going to try specifying it as it's on the annotate ribbon about 25% across from the left. Then you should be able to find detail line. See if that helps you find it any better. You already know where it is. It's a cheat, but about 25% across, we're looking for detail line. Is that easier than saying it's on the detail panel, do you think, Michael?
I personally think the panels are easy to follow. Like the
Really?
ribbon panel button is easy to follow, but I could see how the 25% over could
Might
help.
work. Yeah. I think where it really goes south is when I say it's on the modify ribbon in the modify panel, or it's in the HydroCAD ribbon on the HydroCAD panel. Everybody goes to the HydroCAD ribbon, and then we're lost. I'm going to try it out for a little bit, but that occurred to me last night. Now we want to draw some detail lines. Let's zoom out so we can kind of see the whole warehouse. And I'm suggesting there's a piece of steel near the south end that I could use to put hangers across those 6 branch lines we haven't done yet. So DL starts a detail line and draw just above that last row of sprinklers and draw from the left all the way across, or from the right to the left is fine. Perfect. And do one more like that, like 10 feet north of that. Perfect. And if you're comfortable, just go ahead and do 4 or 5 more of those so that we get hangers on the whole thing. This is a case where you could just do the line and then do copy and say from here to there to there to there to there, or you could say offset and you could go every 10 feet offset, but that should do it. That's where we want hangers on the branch lines. Agreed, Michael? So open the Hgrs ribbon and go about 30% across and pick on the hangers button. And in here, we're going to go back to options and we're going to turn off auto hang. And we're going to turn on create hangers on a line. Then sneak back to hanger trapeze, pick OK. And you need to pick a line and it puts hangers on that crossing of all the pipes. Then pick on the next line. Pick on the next line, the next line, the next line, and the next line. And then escape, escape, escape. And then at your option, you could delete all of those lines.
Could you go back just real quick on the hangers menu?
Yeah.
What we're supposed to click? Sorry about that.
So to get these crossing the lines thing, it's in the option in the hangers dialog in the options box. We're going to uncheck auto hang pipe run. That was our go 6 inches and then every 10 feet. And instead, we're going to check mark create hangers online.
Okay.
And then you have to click on hanger trapeze and pick OK, and then pick on lines. That command requires that you think ahead, and you've already drawn those detail lines. And then Michael picked on one detail line. He did a right click and said, select all instances in view. That selected all those detail lines. And then he hit delete and got rid of those.
All right, thank you.
You're most welcome. We're headed on to slide 12. And slide 12 says complete the dialog box. I think we've kind of already done this, but I'm going to go ahead and use this one to say every pipe 2 feet or longer that I select, I want to put a hanger on the middle of it. And I'm saying we're going to pick on the main, and we're going to pick on the main that crosses column 2, the one that crosses column 3 and column 4. And then when we pick OK, it'll put hangers on those where the main crosses the beams at the column lines. So let's go back to our model, and the 4-inch pipe that crosses column 2, we're going to click on that. Not that one, not that one, not that one, that one. That's the one that crosses the column line. And then control click on the next one that crosses and the next one that crosses. That's all of them. The other ones we're going to need trapeze hangers for. So we've selected 3 different pipes, and we're going to go to the hanger menu and just, I think everything is set up. We're just going to, that unchecked itself, that's good. So we're going to, good job checking that. We don't want to do the auto hang thing. So back here, just pick OK. And all the pipes selected are going to get a hanger in the middle of them. Okay.
Question.
Yep.
I know it's just for reference right now, but theoretically, shouldn't we make sure all these hangers are on the steel? Like
they are. And I was trying to show the select and put them in the middle, but a better way to have put those hangers on was just the plain vanilla one at a time and then click at that intersection.
Got it.
You're right. Zoom in on that just a little bit on one of those and click on the hanger. And you see the little two-way arrows? You can use that to move it over. But let me warn you about that. You can use that to move it like anywhere along that pipe. But hangers are bound to the pipe that you put them on, so they don't copy well. From AutoCAD line days, you're going to be really, really tempted to say, okay, I invested in this hanger. Now let me copy it from here to there, to there, to there, to there. This is the reverse of
Don't
it.
copy hangers. Got it.
Don't copy hangers.
Came
Now I want to put some trapeze hangers on, and I think that's going to be in slide 13. Yeah. Yes. So we've got a dialog box to fill in where we're going to say we want to use a pipe hanger and trapeze bar. We'll use a type of Schedule 40 pipe for the trapeze bar. That's a pull down. And then we're going to use an 06 as the thing actually holding the pipe up, and a 17A as the thing creating the pipe to hang to. We're going to hang to 20 feet above level 1. And just for visibleness, I'm going to change my mind, and where it says distance from structure to trapeze, I want to make that 0'9" instead of 1'0". So let's fill that out, and we'll just put them on one at a time. So no pipes are selected. We're going to go to hangers, and where it says hanger family, we're going to change from adjustable ring hanger to pipe hanger or pipe ring hanger and pipe trapeze. And the type will be Schedule 40, and the hanger style will be 06. That's just a rod and a ring. And then the trapeze will be 17A. That's the pipe trapeze. Level 20 feet above level 1, and for the height we're going to put 0'9", and then just pick OK and pick near the end of the cross main. Perfect. And then between the next two columns on that 10-foot piece of pipe, and then between the next two columns on that piece of pipe, and between the next two on that piece of pipe, and one more down there would be nice. All right. This just shows the hanger. If you zoom in on those, you'll see there's like two hanger ticks. One is the 06 and the other one is the 17. The trapeze bar itself shows up in the fine detail, not here in the medium detail. I think if we switched views and we looked at the working floor plan, yeah, that one, the very first floor plan on our project browser, there's our trapeze bars. If you click on one of those trapeze bars, this should be a default out of the box, but it got left behind for some reason. If you edit, there's a place where it says brace pipe overhang. Do you see that? It's about in the middle of all of those properties of the trapeze bar. Yeah, under dimensions. It's in the group labeled dimensions. And it's the second entry, brace pipe overhang. Make that 0'6". And click back in the drafting area. And do you see the hanger? The hanger now is 6 inches from the end. It's not right at the end of the pipe. Let's do that to the rest of them. Click on the next one over, right click and select all instances in view. and then change that. It varies because one of them is 0'6" and the rest is 0. Make that 0'6".
Sorry, how did you get to that view right there?
We used the project browser, and starting at the top of the list of views, we found the first floor plan. You see it?
Okay. Yeah.
Just double click that and it'll open that view.
Okay. Sorry.
No worries. In AutoCAD, you work in one view all day long every day. You work in the model space view, and then you turn layers on and off. In Revit, we get layers turned on and off, and we kind of make a view with the things on and off that we want. And then you just switch between views rather than turning layers on and off all the time. So look at the tabs at the top. Because we opened that other view, we now have submittal view as a tab, and we have fire protection floor plan as a tab. And you can't really switch layers on and off faster than that, can you? I don't know if I can say this is all kinds of better. It's different, but it's certainly not worse than turning layers on and off. You just have a view that says, oh, it would be handy to see this stuff. Let me make a view out of that. Can you make sense of that?
Yeah.
All right. I won't ask you whether you like it or not yet. You might have to warm up to it. Now,
Do these trapeze hangers, do they just go to joists and beams as you spread them out or something, or
remember, we've got an AutoCAD background, so there's no such thing as a joist. There's no such thing as a beam. It's just an arbitrary length. So zoom in on one and click on it. And do you see the two-way arrows at each end? Grab the top two-way arrow and pull it back to the joist.
Okay, so that's what they're for, though. That's what
Right.
it is. Okay.
And check it out. You have to squint a little bit, but that pipe is a lot thinner than it was when it was long.
Oh wow.
So it's doing the calculation for we're holding up a 4-inch pipe over this span. So when you make the span smaller, the pipe gets smaller.
Oh, like it'll actually change the pipe size automatically for you for the hanger.
Yes, for the trapeze bar. Yes. But I have to tell you, you can't copy these. So we need to go drag those. Let me put you to work and drag the rest of those back to where they belong.
If there was a Revit model, would this calculate to those?
You would no, it
joists?
doesn't. You
It
would
doesn't,
still
okay.
you'd still need to drag
It's
to
still
those.
it's all
joists.
manual. Okay.
Yeah. I could picture us investing in that if a job had 500 trapeze hangers, but generally we avoid them like the plague. So it's just not that much. It's way simple to do. It's just it's a manual operation. Let's open up the section that's looking at that east wall, and we should have probably done this earlier because I said if you don't check it, it don't work. Do you see why I made us put in 9 inches instead of a foot there, Michael? If we had put in a foot, it would have worked fine, but the trapeze bar would have been at the same elevation as the branch line, and it'd be a little bit harder to see. This is probably good this way, but try that thin lines button and see if that makes it look a little bit nicer. It's on the quick access toolbar about about 85% across the quick access toolbar. Perfect. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But do you see our hangers going right up to 20 feet? And our trapeze hangers are going up to 20 feet also.
Okay, I understand. We use the 20 feet because that's our deck height.
Right, right.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go back to that working plan view. And next up, I want to put a lateral earthquake brace, a lateral seismic brace. And I want to do it just to the right of that section line, so we can use the section line to look at it or check it. So back to the hanger pull down, the hanger dialog. And it's got a special place for braces right under the hanger and on the left side there. And do that pull down on the brace family, and under there you should find lateral brace over the top of the pipe, and let's put it at 45 degrees. And we don't have, being an East Coast company, we don't have any good hanger assemblies in here. Let's just sort of close our eyes and pick a number. How about number 8? Just, it's number 8 is not a top beam clamp or a trapeze bar. That's the only reason we're picking that. And then I want to go to level 1 and 20 feet. So we're hanging up to the roof again. And then pick OK and pick on that pipe right there. That's perfect. And the brace is going up at a 45 from the pipe toward that really close joist. I'm going to suggest clicking on it and looking for the little two-way arrow. It's down and to the right of the trapeze bar, and get it going the other direction. And then you can click on that two-way arrow and pull it over there. You're pretty handy with that, Michael. Have you done any seismic bracing before?
Yeah, I'm based out of Seattle, so I do it on every project.
Okay, and so I think you appreciate why I picked that joist instead of the other one.
Yeah,
So
in the wall. Yeah.
In the wall, that's a good reason, but also it's a little bit further away, so the angle is not as steep. So we'll get a stronger brace in that direction. And then let's go back to the section and look at that. And we could conceivably pull that down so that it attached to the top chord of the joist. And the pull it down arrow is there. And you can just, so you could go all the way to the bottom of the joist, or you could go to the top chord of the joist. Is that kind of typical for you to go to the bottom chord of the joist like that?
No, I would go to the top. I thought I heard you say go to the bottom.
Sorry, I was trying to say confusingly the bottom of the top chord of the joist. All right. I think we've got it. I think we've got it a little bit.
Quick question now.
Yeah.
So in stock listing, when we stock listed this drawing, theoretically, is that whole earthquake brace list in?
They will show up in the stock list, yes.
Oh, all the pieces and parts and all, huh?
Almost all the pieces and parts. We called it a hanger 8.
Yes. Okay.
Which is bogus pieces and parts. On that slide 14 that we had open, there's a little asterisk that says search seismic in the help videos for brace assemblies. So we created some, but they didn't get in the install. And there's a video on how you could make all the pieces and parts show up under a number T1A or something. And Michael probably has those in his, well, I didn't see them in his list.
This is my first time using Revit, so I would just make them all in AutoCAD before, prior.
Yeah, but I'm just a little bit confused because the ones that are on your computer that you would have been using in AutoCAD, that's supposed to be exactly the same list. Should just be showing up here.
I don't stock list either. I list everything manually.
Michael,
So-
Michael.
I don't trust computers.
Okay.
I'll be on the lake while you're stock listing.
Let's at least follow that little guide so I can show you exactly what that's talking about. Back in Revit, if you go to the help pull down and all the way to help videos, and in here in the search, that top box, type seismic. And assemblies, additional Hgrs assemblies supplied.
Hey, Mr. Colton.
Do we want to watch this? Or?
We're not going to spend 10 minutes watching it. However, this is a way to type those assemblies in and it'll list all of those parts for you. But scroll over like a couple of minutes worth.
Protection below the grading. At a point.
Yeah.
Count per minute.
A little bit further.
100 square foot
There.
thing. And 5.6 day head.
There's some of those assemblies there.
If you've got vessels.
All right. So I'm going to leave it at that and say,
Go above the grading, you have to put.
if you want to get those listed,
Impingement protection.
they're not included, but this video tells you how to get them included.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that pull down list will have
Above
that.
the grading, you gotta
Okay,
put-
so we'll close out this.
cover every inch of it. If it's a vertical vessel,
And we're not going to go over this, Michael, but there is a schedule called it's a schedule for using the zones to calculate the load on a given zone. And you can say this piping makes up zone A, and we'll give you a schedule that lists all the pipe and what the weight of the water-filled pipe times the C
but
sub
you have to use those
E is to get you the load of seismic piece.
and make sure that water hits every.
So now we've got an open mic. Is that you, Michael?
Yeah,
Or-
sorry.
That's a little bit damned if we do, damned if we don't stuff. You and I probably need to be talking a bunch, but keep your mic handy so you can open it when we need to. I'm going to say, let's go on to slide 15. And there's just two more, and they're both real easy and kind of fun, but I want to show them to you. The riser clamp would very often be used on a high-rise building at the stairwell, where the standpipe's going up through the stairwell. We don't have a high-rise building here, but we could put a riser clamp where the pipe goes through the floor. So if we go back to that section and fill out the hanger. So in the section, zoom in on the underground coming through the floor, and then go to the hangers. And under hanger family, right now it says ring hanger. We're going to go get riser clamp. And then there is a listing for it, their riser clamp. And We're going to go to level 1, then 0 feet. That's a vertical pipe, and typically we don't put hangers on vertical pipes. So sneak back to the options and tell it, yes, I want to include vertical pipes. Then sneak back to hanger trapeze and pick OK, and pick near the floor on that pipe that comes through the floor. Perfect. And there's a two-way arrow on it, and that's the way to move it up or down rather than the move or align command. Lastly, I want to put a riser, a pipe stand on. So go back to the hanger dialog, and in the top there, dial in pipe stand. And that should be like 18, yeah, pipe stand. And 0 from level 1, that's good. Pick OK. And pick between the elbow and the backflow. And I usually get way more pipe stands than I need because they're so much fun to put on. Looks good. Excellent. So let's click slide 16. That's pipe stands. We already did that. So 16 is like a summary. And then if you click on pipe on slide 17, cool. We're into yellow slides. So now we're talking about actual stock listing. It almost feels like we're halfway, but there's like 45 slides, so we're close to a third of the way. Let's keep moving, but I'll keep an eye on the clock. Maybe we can take a break around 11:30. So first slide here is whenever you get started, you want to run setup. There's a setup for calcs, there's a setup for CAD, and there's a setup for listing. And the next slide talks about that. This slide in preparation says, when we run the stock list, we're going to cut all the pipe to the nearest half or the nearest quarter. And that is set up by the manage settings project units. So let's just go there. I'll show it to you. It's showing on the screen here pretty well, but back in Revit, go to the manage ribbon. And on the manage ribbon, about 20% over is project units. And one of those units is the length, and you see it shows 1 foot 5.5, and the format is feet and fractional inches. And if you dial in where it says to the nearest, you could make that a quarter, and then the listing would be done to the nearest quarter. Let's leave it on a half. I think that's the most common, but I wanted you to see where that is. So pick OK, pick OK. And while we're here, let's go to the Hgrs ribbon and pick the very first button that says Setup. And that one that says New Process Data Available, that's an update that happens like on the spot immediately, takes about 10 seconds. There's kind of never a reason not to do that. Go ahead and do that one, Michael. Like I said, not even 10 seconds. But I'll save that update available button for you for later. Okay, nothing exciting there. Let's go back to our slides and just review slide 18. It says each of the menus has a setup button, and in the case of stock listing, it makes sure that pipes, fittings, and sprinklers all have the parameters necessary to run a hydro list. And you only need to run it once per project, not like every time you run the stock list. Okay, slide 19 is also talking about preparation for actually running the stock list. And an advantage in Revit is that we can look at everything in the model in those views. We can look at it in a section view or a plan view or in a 3D view. But better than that, we can look at it in a table view rather than clicking on a pipe and saying, what kind of pipe are you? What kind of pipe are you? What kind of pipe are you? Do I have them all the right kind of pipe? There's a schedule that finds all the pipes in our project, and it puts them in a nice table for us. And we can say, oh, I see, that makes sense. In this slide that we're looking at, you see the first entry is 16 1-inch threaded lines. If that said 16 1-inch underground pipe, I'd scratch my head and say, I don't use 1-inch underground very often. That doesn't make sense. So we're going to look at our project and see if we feel like it can make sense. So over here in the project browser under schedules, there's one that says pipe size and type. And if you double click on that, and if you hold the control key down and roll your mouse forward, it'll zoom in on it. Okay, so this almost looks like I stole this picture and put it in that slide. Where do you suppose 16 1-inch threaded lines came from, Michael?
Riser nipples. Or
Okay.
the
Maybe the ends of the threaded lines?
yeah.
There were 4 threaded lines, and if it was 1, 1, 1.25, 1.5, 1.5, 2, if those were the pipe sizes along the lines, then there would be 2 pieces of 1-inch north of the cross main and 2 pieces of 1-inch south of the cross main. That would be 4 pieces per branch line, and 4 branch lines, so it would be 16 1-inch pipes. 4 1.25-inch threaded branch lines. That might be on that south end where it went 1, 1, 1.25, and then 40 1.25-inch welded lines. Now, it counts as a piece of pipe between a head and a head, between a head and a coupling. That counts as a piece of pipe here. So it's not how many 21-foot lengths are there. This is how many segments are there. And that would mean there were 10 segments in one branch line, and then there were 4 branch lines worth. Let me go on a couple more. There's 4.5-inch threaded pipes. If you click on that 4.5-inch threaded pipes, click on that row. You with me there, Michael?
Sorry, I got asked a question. Could you repeat that one more time?
Yeah. In the middle of this list is 4.5-inch threaded pipes. Click on that anywhere on that row. And in the upper right-hand corner of the ribbon, the way on the right of the ribbon is highlight in model. Click on that. Always save. And zoom out. You can say close. Show will go look for another view to show them to you, but we already have a view and they're showing here. Zoom out a little bit. So it's the 4 starter pieces on the south side. That's pretty cool, don't you think, Michael?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's just go back to the schedule. And I'm going to say 4 2-inch ones. I'll bet you those are the riser nipples. And then 4. So maybe it's the riser nipples, but they're hard to see. If you think it's the riser nipple, still pretty hard to see, isn't it? So I got a trick for you, Michael. Do you see in the properties box, it does say we found 4 threaded pipes? Go back into the drafting area and right click and say override graphics in view. So that says, and by element. This is giving us a chance to say those things that are selected, I want to draw them differently. go to the project lines. There's open that up. And for color, make it hot pink. And for weight, make it really big, like 15 or something. And then pick OK. And one more thing, there's that button 85% of the way across the quick access toolbar for the line weights. Oh, that's where those are. They can't hide from us, Michael, can they?
Not like that.
So sometimes things are small and you can say, okay, those small things, I want you to draw them really big and pop them out for me. Now, are they still selected? No. You could click, control click, but let's use the schedule again. Go back to the schedule and you're on that thing, highlight and view, close, right click and override graphics in view and by element and say reset in the lower left-hand corner there and OK. So if they're hiding, that's a way to make them jump out and shout at us. Excellent. You see any in that back on that pipe schedule? Do you see anything that sticks out as weird or odd, or does it look reasonable?
Looks good to me.
Looks good to me too. If there was any half-inch pipe in here, would that be weird?
Yes.
Probably. We don't use an awful lot of half-inch pipe. If you manually draw a pipe from a branch line to a head, the head will make the pipe connecting to it, usually the drop, it'll make it half-inch. That would show up here, and it would be wicked easy to say, oh yeah, I didn't mean half-inch drops. You just click on the 1 inch and make it 1.5 inches. This also, I'll remind you, we used when we did the calculations and we said we made all the 1.5 inch welded pipe be 1.25 inch welded pipe, just by changing that 40 1.25 we changed to 40 1.5 or vice versa. All right, this is one check. Slide 20 says there's another check for pipe type and the fittings type. So there's a pipe fitting and size schedule to look at also. And that takes a tiny bit more interpretation. Let's go back to the Revit model. You could even close this schedule. We've looked at it. And find the schedule that says pipe fitting and size schedule. And roll that a little bit bigger. Okay, so 2 PVC 6-inch caps. Any guess where that would be, Michael?
Either end of the main?
In the underground.
Oh yeah, 6-inch, yeah, underground.
I'm this in the site plan. I drew out to the street and then I drew piping in the street, and there's a cap at both ends of that. So there's one of them, and then way down at the other end is the other one. Make sense?
Hey, Alan.
Yep.
I'm not sure how are you getting to these pipe schedules. I can't find it nowhere.
Okay, so in the project browser, there's views, and then there's legends, and then there's schedule quantity.
Project browser.
There's two major.
Down here, I see. There, I got you.
And that's a way that we can find views. But besides views, we can find schedules, and we can find our sheets in there, and we can find families in there. But if you open up the schedules, look down for pipe, fitting, and size schedule. And the other trick that Michael used was the schedule was pretty, you had to squint to see it. If you hold control down and roll your mouse, you can make it bigger or smaller.
All right, I got it. Thanks.
Cool. So while I've got you, the next one says 3 elbows PVC schedule 40, 4-inch, 4-inch. Would you guess where those are?
They're on the main.
On the main?
Or the riser.
Okay,
On
Gary.
the riser. Let's use our highlight in view.
They're all
Click
down
there
the
and then
ground.
highlight in view. Close. I see one highlighted to the left, down and to the right. I see one there. Zoom out. I see one there. That's 2. And one there. That's 3. He wasn't distinguishing between a 22 elbow and a 90 elbow, but he said 3 plastic elbows. Okay, that makes sense. We're not going to stock list those, but we know what he's talking about now. Agreed?
Yep.
Okay, let's go back and look at the schedule again. Now, for Firelock POL standard, 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. Can you guess what that is?
The pipe outlets on the main, going to the threaded lines.
Could be, except it's 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. The ones on the main, I think, would be 4 by 4 by 1 1/4.
Oh yeah, right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So on the branch lines.
Yeah, that is kind of, goes to a trick that we used. Yeah, there they are. They're the T's at the top of the riser nipple. On welded branch lines, we have 2 different major forms of T. We got a reducing T and a straight T. They're both called Firelock POL. When the 3 sizes are the same, it's an actual Firelock T. When the sizes are reducing, it's the POL. So that's what Firelock-POL is about. When it's a real T, it's a Firelock T. When it's a reducing T, it's a pipelet. So the one below it is 24 Firelock POLs, but the size is 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 by half. So those are the sprinkler connections on those 4 branch lines on the left. Does that make
Question.
sense?
If this one doesn't reduce, why isn't this one just called a T?
Because Revit gypped us and they said, we don't have reducing T's and T's, we just have T's. In HydroCAD for AutoCAD, we made 17 different shapes, and when we got to Revit, they said there's only 5 different shapes. Elbow, T, cross, cap, coupling. That's it. So we needed to make a T, and Revit's solution was every time you have a reducing thing, we'll just put a straight T there and put reducers on the ends. And that was almost a non-starter for us. We said, we'll never be able to use Revit because sprinklers don't work that way. We invented a T that was smart enough that when the sizes are all the same, it looks like a T. When they're not all the same size, it looks like a pipelet. Does that legitimately answer your question?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just, they're all the same size, so I don't see why that's not a T. But it doesn't matter.
It is a T, but we had only one name for this T that would represent itself as straight or as reducing. And the name we came up with was Firelock for when it was all the same, pipelet for when it was reducing. I feel like I've made you go away. I had
No, I get it. I just, it's not reducing, so it's all the same size, right? So
correct. And that's the straight Firelock T at the top of the riser nipple.
got it. Yep.
Revit
The
can
next
only
one,
see one thing.
right. It says I'm connecting 3 pipes. That's called a T shape. What's the name you're going to assign to that T shape? I assigned Firelock POL to say when it's all the same size, it's Firelock. When it's reducing, it's Pipelet. Okay. I'm just looking down for something else that might seem weird that we want to check into. The rest of those I'm claiming make plenty enough sense to me. How about right in the middle? There's 4 thread tees, 2 by 1 by 1.5. Where are those, Michael?
At the top of the riser nipples of the threaded lines?
Right, because it was a 2-inch riser nipple. And I hope that those get listed as a 1.5 by 1 by 2. And the listing program will sort that out. But Revit just said, I found 3 sizes. These are the 3 sizes I found. So I'm saying we know where those are also. Anyone see anything that makes them wonder where that came from? Okay, I maybe got one more quiz for you. It says, almost near the bottom, says 4 Vic coupling 009N, 1.25 by 1.25. Is that enough couplings?
No.
We need way more couplings than that, don't we? I think slide 21, that's a setup. Take a look at slide 21, yeah. So those are 4 couplings that we actually cut in. Those are the ones on that furthest left branch line, 21 feet from the bottom, and the second branch line and the third branch line and the fourth branch line. Those are those 4 couplings. If we're looking at slide 21, the second entry there says 4009. No. The last one in that first group says 1.25 009 coupling. There's 4 of them, 1.25 by 1.25. But the first entry says Firelock Easy coupling 009. There's a quantity of 12 of them, and they came from the 1.25 by 1.25 by 1.25 T at the top of the riser nipple. So there's 4 riser nipples. There's 4 T's there. Each one of them has 3 couplings. So there's 12 more couplings needed for those T's. On the next line down are the groovelets for those welded lines, and each one of those needs a coupling. So there's 4 more groovelets that we need for those pipelets. It's got a total of 28 009 couplings. So we did that to make it much easier for you guys to model this thing. When you draw an 1.25 pipe into the side of an 1.25 pipe, it puts a T there. It knows that it's all the same sizes, so it looks like a T, and it puts the couplings on that T. And the purist of Revit people would say, you can't do that. That's actually 4 objects. It's a T and 3 couplings. Dave, are you with me? Are you there, Dave? He walked away again. He's got his mic open.
I think he might be having some mic trouble. I hear him trying to talk.
I'm picking on Dave because he's our macho stud propeller head Revit guy. And I'm thinking he could appreciate, in Revit.
There it is. Figured it out.
Oh, good. So I'm picking on you, Dave, because I think you can see what I mean. a coupling is an object, and a T is an object, and a pipe is an object. So
Mm-hmm.
there's really four objects going on there: the T and 3 individual couplings.
Yeah.
So technically, we should have to draw the T and then go put 3 couplings on, because that's what the installer has to do.
Okay.
And when we got there, Hydrotech got there, we said, that's just too big of a pain in the ass. I know what's supposed to be there. I'm just going to draw one pipe into the other, and I want it to look like a T with couplings on it. So this loose fittings idea got incorporated to say, we're going to draw the T, we're going to draw it with couplings on it, and we're going to add some properties to the T that says, how many couplings do you really want? We're assuming 3. And what kind are they? And we're assuming something. We've got probably a generic coupling. Why is it so important to be so fussy about that? Well, if you take it 2 elbows, that's 4 couplings, right, Michael? 2 elbows, that's 4 couplings, right?
Unless they're back to back.
It depends. The typical designer engineer answer. It depends. So if they're back to back, then it's 3 couplings. And so now we're back to Dave saying, yeah, so you're stuck. You got to draw two elbows, and then you got to draw 3 couplings to get 3 couplings.
Yeah.
Hydrotech got around that by saying, when you draw an elbow, we're going to put 2 couplings on it, and we're going to leave a property that says, what kind of couplings are there, and do you need to adjust the quantity? So in the unusual case where they're back to back, you've got an option to click on either one of them and say, count 1 less coupling for this elbow. But for the typical case, you'll just get 2 couplings, and they'll be of a standard type. Do you see
So
how we're talking about?
So it's not necessarily 3 different parts. You're just saying whenever you put this elbow or fitting in, you're getting the 2 couplings along with it.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Correct. And this table that we're looking at, this schedule,
The loose fitting schedule.
loose fitting says, how did we figure how many couplings to get?
Okay. So you put it, and that's just a property of the fitting?
Of the fitting. Correct. And I think.
Let me look at that. Yeah.
So, yeah, click on the elbow. That's perfect. And look at the properties of the elbow. And down under, I think it's under fire protection. Yep. First 2 properties under fire protection is override coupling and coupling quantity. Put in -1.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, put in -1 for that quantity.
Then go back to your schedule.
Hang on a second. I think you got the
I'm getting
-1
ahead of myself. Yeah.
That one leaves 0 for now. The coupling, the override coupling, but quantity override, I want to be -1. Here. Now go back to hit enter to make sure it takes that, and then go back to the schedule. And we're not in the loose fitting loose fitting schedule. And I'm looking for the elbow in the last group down there. You see that 4x4 has only 1 coupling? And there are 3 more 4x4 couplings that get 6, 4x4 elbows that get 6 couplings. So the three elbows, I think in the 3 elbows in the riser, each get 2 couplings. We didn't tell it any different. You with me so far? But that one coupling, we told it, no, take one off. I want you to only count one coupling. And the kind of coupling that they're getting is generic coupling. So change that back to 0. And now we've got 4 elbows generating a total of 8 couplings.
Makes sense.
Cool. Now, if you peek at slide 21 again, I'm saying that the type of coupling, if the type is 0, it's generic. If the type is 18, it's a firelock coupling. And if the type is 22, it's a 009 coupling. So let's go to that one elbow that you were on and change 0. That elbow in the fire protection property. The first property there says coupling override. Change that to 22. But then look at the loose fitting schedule. So you see now there's only 6 grooved couplings, and it moved into the second group there where it says 2. That's the fitting that you changed, and you changed the type of fitting to Firelock 009. So we're getting 2 of them, but they're 009s, not standard grooved ones. That one might be a little bit harder to swallow, but you see one of the elbows moved out of the group of standard grooved couplings to 009 couplings.
Yep.
Yes? So click on the bottom 2 entries there, grooved coupling 6, grooved coupling 1. Yeah. Can you shift click to get them both selected? Or control click to get them both selected? Good. And then highlight in model, close. And in the properties there under fire protection, change the 0 to 22. And then go back to the schedule. And those moved up into the 009 couplings. And now click on the 3 remaining grooved coupling bunch there at the bottom of the list. Yeah. Highlight and view. Change those to 22. And now there are no generic grooved couplings. They're all 009 couplings. Got it?
Yep. Is there a list that has all these different couplings
Yes.
with the numbers associated?
Yes. Let's go right here. We're in Revit. Go to the help pull down. Help videos. And type in coupling index. Coupling index decoder ring PDF. View that. That's all the different couplings we had codes for. Could you believe there were that many different couplings?
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yes. Well, this list is unfortunately a little bit old. There's more than twice that many now, and we just haven't gotten to republishing a new list. But hopefully the ones you need or ones you can get by with. This is a big enough list to get by with. You think? And you see I highlighted the 18 and the 22 in there.
Yeah, my most common are 18, 20, 22. So
Super. I guessed good. Alrighty then. Let's close this And let's go on to slide 21, 22. We're going to do a stock list, but we don't want to stock list the underground. So we're going to put a system divider on, if there isn't one there already, on the elbow where it comes into the building. So where the underground comes into the building, we want to set that property. Yes, for that elbow, the property should already be checked. It says system divider. So when we run the walker, it'll go there and it'll stop there. If I wanted to only list the east half of this building, I could put a system divider on that coupling and then do a walker, and the walker would stop at that coupling. However, this is already small enough. Why don't we not put the system divider there? But slide 22 is just reminding you, you can selectively list a project by using those system dividers. And then slide 23 is really getting down to brass tacks. All the elbows are by default just Firelock elbows. There is another pipe type that says use standard pattern elbows. And for the most part, you don't have to worry about this. If you draw it and it looks like a Firelock elbow, it'll get listed as a Firelock elbow. But we gave you the option, if you needed to specify this one needs to be different. And in HydroCAD for AutoCAD, that was an override fitting. And in HydroCAD for Revit, it's called an override fitting. It's just much less often you have to actually take advantage of this override feature. I used as an example, what if that elbow that you and I were picking on, that one elbow wanted to be galvanized and the others all stayed whatever they were? There's a button called fitting override that lets us dial in for the main, for an elbow, make it a galvanized Firelock elbow. So let's find that and do it. So go to the Hydra list ribbon and that fitting override button. And it's a main, the first thing we want to do is click on the top where it says main fitting and elbow. And then there's a lot in here, but galvanized starts with G. So let's look at the G's. And there's GF90. There's a little galvanized Firelock 90 elbow. That's cool. So you want to click on insert fitting override. And if you look at the properties now, right there in constraints in the top group, there's HydroList assembly, and it says GF90L. So that elbow has a property that says, when you get to me, use some special instructions, not the standard instructions. This elbow doesn't have that property, so it's going to follow a default for listing. That gets us, I think, to slide 24, which says we want to add a section direction marker. In HydroList for AutoCAD, the process required, main A starts here and goes this way. Main B starts there and goes this way. Weld line 1 starts here and goes this way. Weld line 2 starts here and goes this way. In Revit, we have that feature, and I strongly encourage this one in its place. It's way, way, way faster, and in some ways it's more accurate, because that process that says start here and go that way gets really fussy. You got to pick on the correct end of this tiny little pipe to try and get it to start at the correct end and go the other way. This one is automatic, so it's finding always the right end to start at. However, the numbering depends on whether you start at the left end of the building or the right end of the building. And this tag lets us say, okay, number all this stuff, but start in this general area. And it's called a a section direction marker. So I will have you do that in the Revit model. Click on the Hgrs ribbon. About 20% across is tag direction. And click on that tag direction. And it's the one in the upper left-hand corner. Ruh-roh. Did that dialog box show up somewhere else? And we're
Yeah,
not
it's on my
seeing
other screen. It won't let me move it either.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah.
but we did have it on
I can
slide
do this.
4. So just click on the button that says section direction marker.
Section direction. Got it.
Now if I go up here to my
And then click in the lower left-hand corner of the building, but it doesn't have to be on anything. I lied, lower right-hand corner of the building. That's fine. So of all of the pipes that are going to get stock listed, the one that's closest to that will be main A.1. And then it'll work its way out from there, A.2, A.3, and like that. So it just says which one's closest to where that tag is. It doesn't say you have to start at this particular piece of pipe. Cool. I think that gets us to slide 25. And it gets us just past 11:30. And I said there was 45 slides. Crossing my fingers, it seems like every time we're on schedule and we take a break, even though it's a short break, then we just get further and further behind schedule. But damn the torpedoes, let's take a break. It's 11:46. Let's start at 11:55. Is that good with everyone?
Yep,
Okay.
good. Good for
I'm
me.
going to mute my mic and I'll be back at 11:54 and we'll start again at 11:55. Okay, I've unmuted, but we've got most of them. Well, no, here it is, 11:55. Michael, are you back?
Sir.
Indicate.
Good. Then let's charge. I'm just gonna tweak my slides a second here so that we've got a good timing for when we start it again. And I'm gonna have us follow what's on slide 25 by doing the walker. And that's as easy as WW and pick on a pipe anywhere on the system side of that system divider that we put in. Perfect. That's the stuff that we're going to stock list. It does not include the underground. On slide 26, it says we're going to use the Shift A button or the Hgrs auto stock list button to get started.
Okay, so.
Do you want me to leave this as a gal fitting real quick?
Yeah, sure. We'll recognize it when we get to the stock list. And then the Hgrs ribbon, and then the auto stock list button or Shift A that got us here. That's great. There's like a series of slides that go pretty quick here. Slide 27 says we've got 7 sections of this dialog box to fill in. They're numbered down the left side there. Setup options, welded mains, welded lines, threaded lines, hangers, excluded pipes and pipe objects. And we're just going to click through each one of those. If you want, I don't think you even have to keep up with the slides. I'll do it on the I'll do it on the video topic index. The first section here, the setup options, is basically what's the job name. So there will be an HLF when we get on a stock listing file by the name in that name file. You could say under area, like system 1 or system 2, why don't we put in system 1 is fine. That's all there is. And then where it says file location, browse, by default, that's going to be the same place as your project is saved, and that's fine. If you send this to somebody else, it's more likely they have to browse because they might not have the same place that you do. I'm clicking to slide 28. I don't know that you need to do that. We're just moving to the next tab that's mains welded. And this is good. We're going to read the top stuff. It says we're going to label the mains space A. So we're going to have main A, main B, main C, main D, like that. And by default, we're going to use schedule 10 black domestic pipe. By default, we're going to color code that red. And that next thing used to go on each tag, and now we ask it only once. It says, if you didn't have an override fitting, if you weren't telling me make this one galvanized, by default, I want you to treat the elbows and T's as Firelock elbows and T's, the outlets as threaded pipelets, and the arm overs as 1-inch threaded stuff. So there's lots and lots of things here. That default that we have is probably going to work just swell. Better than Hydrotech for Revit, Hydrotech for AutoCAD, better than that. There's an override fitting built in to each fitting that was modeled. So some are pipelets and some are groovelets. The ones that are groovelets already have an override built into them. This is, I'm a groovelet, and the threadelet's the same way. So this middle entry, mains, Firelock E's and T's threaded pipelets, is much less required than it was in AutoCAD land. I will also have you check mark the thing that says use Revit model pipe lengths as cut lengths. In HydroCAD for AutoCAD, we had to do the stock list in order to get the cut lengths because the takeouts were built into the listing process. In Revit, when you draw 3 pipes together, it puts a T there, and that T in the current set of pipes and fittings that we have is accurate enough that the length is already accurate as the cut length. So we're going to use a check mark on that. Use Revit model pipe lengths as cut lengths. Okay, now in the bottom half of this, there's three kinds of, this is like the mapping that we did in hydraulic calculations. We drew three different kinds of pipe. And the ones that we drew with mains welded, that's that 4-inch pipe, we want to treat that as mains and label it A, B, C, main A, main B, like that. And you just clicked on it and used the right arrow to put it in the right panel that says that's what's going to get treated as mains. Good. Let's go on. I'm going to go to the slide 29 in our video topic index, but you can click down to welded lines. The welded lines we're going to call W1, W2, W3, like that. We'll use Schedule 10, black Schedule 10 pipe. We'll still color code it red. And there's a different list of default fittings. And again, we're going to use the modeled lengths, and we're going to click on lines welded. Then click down to threaded. And there's only one, and we'll call the threaded lines line 01, 02, 03. We'll use black Schedule 40, red, and cast iron screwed fittings. We'll use the modeled lengths, and we're going to take that last pipe type and put it in there. You can go ahead and click on to the hangers tab on the side, and that just says, do you want to list hangers by inches or by feet and inches or whatever? Nothing exciting in there. And then go down to excluded pipes. This excluded pipes is for where I had an existing system, and I had the existing system, and then I modeled some new pipes, so I could create a duplicate of lines threaded called lines threaded new, and lines threaded new I would have treated as threaded lines. All the rest is drawn, but I don't want to list it. It's already been installed. In here, I could click on each of these and put it in excluded lines. So for retrofit or fit ups, that's why you would most likely use this excluded pipe stuff. And then process options has got, let me have you click on process options there. You got to get fancy before you're going to need any of this stuff, but I do want to point one thing out. Does anybody have an objection to calling the groovelettes weld groove POLs? Anyone have seen that? David, you've run Hydrotech for AutoCAD. When you run an auto list, you get a bunch of weld groove weld GR POLs. That okay with you?
I think my company has overrided it to say GOLs just because that's what we're used to. But
good. Okay, so I want to show you how to keep that up in Revit here, David.
Either way, it doesn't matter to me either way.
Fair enough. But if you click on the word wizards over on the right there, there's a bunch of wizards on the left-hand column there, and the third one there says GRPOL to GOL. So that's a wizard that'll make that swap for you, David. And we're going to pick OK, and we're going to click on Apply HydroList Wizard right next to the word wizards. There you go. So it's going to list it as it has for 100 years, GRPOL. But when we open the stock list, it says, go find all those buggers and swap them out for GOL. Unless there's questions, Michael and I are ready to pick the OK button and generate a stock list. But I'll pause for a second to see if anybody has questions. That's
not a question, but I like how it removes the from the availables, so you know if you have threaded that you need to put, they'll be there.
Super. Good deal. This will get remembered also. So if we run the list again, it'll automatically come up selected this way. Okay, so we're ready to pick OK. And this is a really small job, but that's a really fast process. If you click on Mains tab, it shows that there's a main A and a main W1. And main A, Dave, here's another spreadsheet that I'm guessing you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Correct. But let me skip the first A.1, A.2, A.3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And when we get to A.7, you see it's 3 foot 6.5 to a 4x2 weld pipelet. And then I'm going to memorize those 3 entries. The next one is 10 feet to a 4x2, and then 3 foot 8 to no fitting. And Michael, I'm going to have you sneak back to the Revit project and go ahead and pick Return to Revit. And let's go to the view that said submittal, FP submittal, that has dimensions and stuff on it. And the main on the right end of this, where the main and where the cross main and the feed main come together. So Dave, do you see that first piece is 4 inch, 3 foot 10.5?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That's the center to center. That's from the center of that pipelet to the center of the feed main. And if we take out about 4 inches, what would be left is 3 foot 6.5. And at the left end of that pipe is a 2-inch pipelet coming out of the top of the 4-inch pipe. That's a 4x2 weld POL. Then we go 10 feet more to the left. Perfect, thanks. So we're looking at A.7 here. It says, you see the 3 foot 6.5, not 3 foot 10.5?
Yeah.
Because we've taken out for that elbow.
For the elbow. So like, is that, I'm guessing that's the cut length. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. They're going to fabricate a piece of pipe that's a total of 17 2.5. And it's going to go from the beginning end. It's going to go 3 foot 6.5 and put that 2-inch pipelet. The 4x2 pipelet. And then under fitting position, it's got 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1 is pointing up, 2 is pointing out the right, 3 is pointing down, and 4 is pointing out the left. Bill McKenna said, if you're looking down the pipe, like into the open end of the pipe with the water hitting you in the back of the head, then 1 is up, 2 is right, 3 is bottom, and 4 is left. So that's a pipelet facing up. And then we go another 10 feet, we put another 2-inch pipelet facing up. And then we go 3 foot 8 to the center of that coupling, and we put no fitting. The fitting is a coupling, but that's going to be thrown in a basket or in a bag separate. We're not going to add that to the pipe before we send it out. Make sense?
It's getting there.
Line 18 says 2 foot 8 to a 4-inch no fitting. That's that piece of pipe going through the wall. And then the next one is 3 foot 8, 10 feet, and 7 foot 4. That adds up to 21 feet with the 2-inch pipelets facing up. And then the next one, A.10, is 2 foot 8 to a 4 by 1.25 weld groovelet. And that's where it used to say GRPOL. And David had already rigged that up so that it's on in his company. It always says GOL like we've got it here. But that's for groovelet.
That was Michael talking. That wasn't me.
Okay. and then a total of 4 more groovelets before we get to the very end of the main. Does that make some sense, Dave?
Yeah, it's getting there.
I will say this this Hgrs program it looks scary, but it's really simple once you start working on it. I
That's
use
what I'm,
it.
that's what I'm hoping when I start using it, seeing it. Yeah.
It's very well entrenched in the listing community. My son is relatively new to the industry, only been around 6 or 8 years in hydrotech, and he hates all the colors. But we were all proud of ourselves for color coding the columns so you can keep track of what's the fitting size, what's the fitting. You won't have a lot of use for this because you're going to get it automatically, but you notice the buttons up at the top, there's blue buttons and green buttons and yellow buttons. If you pick one of the blue buttons, it fills in stuff in the blue column. And if you pick a green button, it fills in stuff in the green column. It's cool. It's not something you're going to need an awful lot, though. Okay, so there's no whammies here. Main A is all that 4-inch pipe. If you click on W1 in the stock listing, that's a stock list for weld branch line number 1. The 1'4" is the riser nipple. On the plan that we're looking at, it says 1 1/4 by 2'0" for the riser nipple, and the 1'4" is the takeout for the groovelet at the bottom and the grooved T at the top. So it took a total of 8 inches out to get us that 1'4". And then 1610 is going north, and you go north 6'4" and you get to a 1 1/4 by half pipelet. It shows 6'7" on the plan because that's the center to center. But then 10 feet from the center of the 1/2 inch outlet to the center of the next 1/2 inch outlet. And then 0'6" to the cap at the end, and we list that as no fitting.
Quick question.
Yeah.
If we did want to like confirm the cut lengths, all you'd have to do is change it to dynamic tags, correct?
That's correct. And in fact, I think I'm going to take a second out. If you click on that view now, this view, and go to the Hgrs ribbon, there's a button that says Fab View. Just before you pick the Fab View button, look over in the project browser, and under Mechanical, you see, oh, we already have one actually, the installation drawing. Open that up. That one, we already created that from the submittal drawing, and that's got there's the 1'4" for the riser nipple and the 6'4" for the starter piece. Dynamic and cut lengths should be the same numbers. And the cut lengths are just meant to be nice and pretty. And I already bragged about they will be automatically updated with the next program update. They'll be correct all the time. Okay, so there's 4 of those. We're on W1, and it's got the riser nipple, the starter piece going north, starter piece going south, and then a 21-foot piece finishing the rest of the south. And there's 4 of those. If you go to lines, the tab for lines, that'll be the threaded lines. And that's just got LO1. And if you open that up, it says there's 4 LO1s. The first piece is 2-inch with a 1 1/4. That first fitting is a 1 1/2 by 1 by 2 cast iron bullhead. Do you remember me fussing over Revit was calling it a 2 by 1 by 1 1/2? Michael, you're doing a fantastic job of driving here. You know exactly where to find this stuff. So Revit doesn't know how to call that fitting out by by sprinkler standards. But by the time we list it, we say, oh yeah, the largest run, the other run, and the outlet. We'll always list them in that order. So it's a 1.5 by 1 by 2. We call it a bullhead because it's made on that third outlet. If it was made on the 1.5 inch, it would just be called a reducing T. And I'm going to say most of the rest of that probably speaks for itself, certainly to anybody, certainly to Michael that's been listing this stuff all by hand. Can you find any fault? You don't trust it, Michael, but can you find any fault in there?
No, it looks correct. I just don't trust fitting takeouts. Personally, like for instance, like the 1.7.5, I'm not comfortable using that unless I draw the pipe straight and then like cut out the fitting takeout, because there's nothing that we've seen that tells you what the fitting takeout is. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to trust that that is correct, and that's where I have issues.
Okay. If you create a section there, looking at that 1.7.5 foot. So just draw a little section line looking north.
Is that button again? The sections, to do sections?
It is in the quick access toolbar at about 85%.
This one, there we go.
Yep. And that should do. Yep. And open that up. I'm claiming it's possible. It's possible, and the easiest way is to measure the pipes, not the fittings. So right click on that fitting and right click. And select all instances in view. And down in the very lower left-hand corner of the drafting area, there's a pair of eyeglasses next to a light bulb. Yep, click that. And hide category is what I want to do. So you just hid all of the fittings, and what's left is the pipe. If you want to know the takeout, you can dimension from the branch line to the end of that riser nipple. And the other thing in the way is that hanger. We'll get to that in a second. Click on that and go down and hide and view that. Here. Okay, so I'll recommend that you always use that looks like the right dimension, but always use that one next to it that says aligned. Yeah. And then I think you can go from the bottom of the riser nipple. And try tab, tab, tab. See if you can get a.
I'm getting an error sound.
Try for that second click, try SE and see if it'll get the end of that pipe. Trying to get the end of the green pipe. No? Yeah, not the top or the bottom. You're trying to get the very center of it, but
yeah, SE's not doing anything.
Okay. So escape, escape, escape. DL for detail line. And there. 3 1/8. So 3 1/8 and 1.5 is 4 1/2. 4 1/2 from 2 feet is 1.7 foot.
Yeah.
And or if you pick on the escape, click on that pipe, it tells you that it's 1 foot 7.5. But you're looking for the takeouts, right? You're not going to trust the length. You're looking for the takeouts.
Right.
And I'm going to say the advantage here is you can see what the takeout is. You can measure what the takeout is. In Hydrotech for AutoCAD, it's just a bunch of lines, and you've got to trust the background calculation, and that's all you get is the background calculation. You'd have to do the math again to check it. Here you can actually measure it. You with me?
Yes, sir.
What do they
You still don't trust it, but you're with me.
Right.
I'm gonna claim we actually do this, Michael. I draw a 3-inch main, a 2.5-inch main, a 3-inch main, a 4-inch main, and a 6-inch main, and an 8-inch main. And then I take a 1-inch pipe and connect it into it, an 1.25-inch pipe and connect it into it, an 1.5-inch pipe and connect it into it. And then I measure all of those and I compare it against the cut sheet for the ASC groovelettes, and I compare it against the cut sheet for the Ward cast iron tees, and I verify all those takeouts. They're built into those fittings that you're modeling, and you could do the same thing to build your confidence. But every time it draws a 4x4 by 1.25, I guarantee you it draws it exactly the same way. So if you've checked it once, every time you draw one, it's going to be the same takeout.
Right. I got it. Yeah. I think I just have to, once I get a project in using the auto list and it works, that's probably when I'll be able to trust it.
And that's Al's number one rule of programming, Michael. If you don't check it, it don't work. But this is a way that you can reasonably check it. If you get the fittings out, there's easy enough things to measure to. When the fittings are in there, it's a little harder. Cool. Why don't we switch back to the Hydra list again? You still have that open. And I'm going to have you click over to Hgrs and open up that HO1. And I see the 17A on line 6. That's 60 inches long. That's a trapeze hanger, 5 feet between those two joists. And then that 52.5 inch hanger 8, that's not going to have the right material associated with it, but that's the length of that seismic brace that we put in. I remember us putting in 08 for that. I said, pick one, anyone. And then the next one down, 2418, that's the pipe stand. And the 27-inch hanger 6, that's the trapeze from the trapeze bar down to the main was 27 inches. And then go click on the miscellaneous and open up the MISC, the top one, and you see there's 28 009 couplings. That's the 4 couplings we actually drew and the 24 couplings that it made up as part of the elbows and part of the T's. I could almost count in my head a typical welded branch line had 1 coupling at the bottom for the groovelet, 3 more at the top. That's up to 4. Then headed south, there's 1 in the middle, that's 5, and then a cap at each end, that's 6 and 7. So there are 7 couplings on one of those branch lines, and there's 4 branch lines, that's 28 1.25-inch couplings. And then you could do a similar exercise on the 4-inch couplings. And then it picked up our shotgun riser, it picked up our butterfly valve, and it picked up our Wilkins a Wickland's backflow preventer. Pretty cool stuff. Let's go to MISC 1. And that's the 3 4-inch 4 elbows. There should be 4 1 1/4 T's. That's on line 5. The other, there's another update coming out that will automatically find part numbers to get you descriptions. If they're missing, it'll just go get a description off of the cloud and fill that in. The 1 1/4 Firelock T's aren't there yet because Victaulic started out with 2 inch and up. They didn't bother with 1 1/4 or 1.5. They still didn't bother, but they put Firelock names on them and sold them as Firelock T's. They are, in fact, the exact same thing as a standard grooved Vic groove T, but they now sell it as a 1 1/4 Firelock T. In the immediate, if that really bugs you, if you change 26F to 260 on line 5, yeah, right in there, change that to 0. That Vic T number 20 is the same. The only difference is if you order a Vic 20, they'll charge you twice as much as if you order a Firelock one.
Because those have the same takeouts for the 1/4 and 1/2. So
they do have, for the 1 1/4 and the 1 1/2, they have the same takeouts because they are the same fitting, but they're labeled differently. And again, you can go and measure them and verify that.
yeah, those luckily I know off the top of my head. So
good deal. So we had a picture that showed 6'7", and if you go to weld line 1, W1, that 6'7" is 6'4". The top of your head should say that's a 3-inch takeout.
right, yep.
Good deal. Let's go ahead and close Hgrs. If you see a problem in here, generally in the Hgrs program, you can right click on whatever's the problem. And when you right click, it brings up other options and you can fix it there. The note that I was making in slide 31, 32 was you should look at like we looked at the mains and the lines and the hangers and stuff. You should look at the whole list before you make any changes, because sometimes the error in the list is going to recur over and over and over and over. And if you change one thing in the startup, you fix all those errors. So often all you need to do is rerun the stock list, not fix all the problems showed up. So look at the whole thing first before you start making changes. Once you're down to, oh, it's just this one little thing and that one little thing, then you can just right click and fix it. And then slide 33 says, when you're done and you've closed Hgrs, and even before, you return to Revit, and it puts information back in the drawing, including which is line 1 and which is line 2 and all of that stuff. So I'm going to have us go on to slide 34 because we've already picked return to Revit, and we're going to add listing tags let's add those to the installation plan. So make sure we have open the installation view, and now do the walker. Good, and then tag pipe or TP. And you want to click on use listing tags and put them at the center. So it'll be about in the middle of the 21 feet. And then pick continue. And there's main A.1, A.2, 8.3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If you click on one of the main tags and right click, select all instances in view, you can use the up arrow and the left arrow just to move them up and to the right maybe. Nice. So that doesn't totally clean them up, but it makes it a lot more readable than it was, and then you can individually go move each one of them to clear space for them. If you click on one of the line tags, right click, select all instances in view, and I have a preference for not putting those at a 45 anymore. So in the properties, you see it says line tag HCAD. Do the pull down on that words, the words that pull down. And next one down says horizontal. If you click it, they're squared up and they look a lot nicer to me. And then you can use the arrow keys to move them up and to the right or left. Again, that's not perfectly cleaned up, but it's a good start. And you see the 4 lines on the right are LO1, 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 and then the 4 lines on the left are W1, point 1, point 2, point 3. Point 1 is the riser nipple, and then point 2, point 3, point 4 are the starter piece going north and south. Cool. I think that gets us slide 35 also, where we said move stuff up and to the right for legibility. Slide 36 says, if you have a much bigger stock list and you saw that there was a problem with main A.9, where is A.9? Similar to what we were doing with the lines, the pipe size and type schedule, there's a schedule for the section IDs, and you can click on section ID A.9 and then highlight and view. Let's just do that so we can say we did what the slide was talking about. So back in Revit model, in the list of schedules, find Hydra list IDs, that one, open that up. And there's A.9 halfway down the list, and then highlight and view and close. So there's you had several views open. It found it in the working view and highlighted it. If you switch to the installation view, it'll still be highlighted there also. So again, this one's so small, you can see 8.2, 3, 4, 5. You can find 8.9 pretty easy. But if you have a really big project and a lot of little main numbers and stuff, you might say, I know I have a problem with this, but I don't know where it is. That's a good way to find it. And then slide 37 talks about if you find something sort of systemic wrong, then it's better to go fix it in the model and then rerun the list. If you're down to there's just 1 or 2 things, you can fix it right in the list by right clicking on the thing that was broken. And then it says, in any case, the plot views will need to be revisited. We found that cut length view, that was really cool. But if we pictured it a little bit more carefully, we might notice that there were dimensions missing. Let me draw your attention to that. Let's go back to the installation view and look across the cross main there, Michael. Do you see there's some dimensions missing on the cross main?
These ones on 1.3?
Uh,
Or we're talking about
Just
the
on this
aftermarket?
view, look at main A11. The very first piece of pipe on main
Oh, yeah.
A11 is that one. There's no dimension on it.
Mhm.
And that's because we were in a different view when we cut the couplings in, and that view cut the coupling in and put dimensions on that pipe. This view wasn't open, and the dimensions belong specifically to a given view. We're going to fix that simply by tag pipe to pick up all those missing dimensions. So Walker, the whole system, then tag pipe, and make sure you click on cut lengths, and then continue. And that's going to recalculate any of the lengths of any of the things that moved. But it'll also find any pipes that were missing a dimension, and it'll add the dimensions for us. And it says it moved stuff. And that box where it says clash score 0.31, that's drawing your attention to one that it noticed will need a little bit more cleanup. I want to point something out here, Michael. In the lower right-hand corner of the drafting area are a whole bunch of little pictures, and there's no little red X's on them right now. I want you to, and because there's no little red X's on, by accident, you could wind up picking the AutoCAD background. And if you're in a Revit background project, you could accidentally pick on a wall or a door or anything. And it's kind of like lock layers, all those little pictures in the lower right-hand corner. I want you to go down there and click on each one of the pictures starting at the left. Click on it, and you'll get a red X on it. Okay, and those last two don't count. It's just the first 5 or so. But now if you try to pick on the AutoCAD background, you'll see it just won't do it. It's like locking those layers that you don't want to mess with. But it will do all of your stuff, like that 19-foot O is for the pipe AFF. Click on it and you can move it a little bit. Okay. One of the red X's we put on, the very last one, the one all the way on the right, hover over it and it says drag element on selection. So uncheck that one. And now click on that 19-foot O. Hold your finger down and you can move it. So it's just click it, move it, click it, move it, click it, move it. That's a pretty good, when you're in cleanup mode, that's a pretty good feature to have.
What would this be here? This, it looks like it did a double.
The gamushel that's there.
Like there's 2 of them. Are they for the same piece? Because they're both, I can see the line going to that piece.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I'm going to claim that's not supposed to happen. And no harm in deleting the extra one.
If you did delete it, does the auto list still pick it up, or since the annotation is not there, it will not?
That's an AutoCAD problem. It's not a Revit problem. The diameter and the length belongs to the pipe, inherently in the pipe. So if the pipe is there, it's going to list it. If there's no annotations, it'll still list it. And you can move them anywhere. You're not trying to keep something lined up with something like you have to in AutoCAD. That's one of the big benefits of Revit is modeling pipes. AutoCAD is modeling lines that we try and talk into being pipes. I like it. Let's treat ourselves to slide 38. Slide 38 is for you, Dave.
All right.
Michael uses stock listing all weekend long while everybody else is out on the lake. But you haven't got to use it yet. There's an instruction manual. It's about 50 pages of almost all, it's like 50 pages of comic book. So it reads as quick as a comic book because it's mostly pictures. And we're going to actually go there and open it. It's on page 94 of 340 pages of stock listing manual. But it takes a very simple job, very similar to this one, and just starts with a blank Hydra list and manually enters all of the data. That will probably be the first and last time you ever do that, Dave, but it will really give you a chance to slow down and appreciate what's in that listing program.
Okay.
And when you get using it for real, making a change will be a no-brainer because you know how to get it in there in the first place.
All right.
So switch back to Revit for me, Michael, and in the Hydra list ribbon at about 55% is launch Hydra list. That just opens the standalone list program. It's not an automatic list. It's not gathering material or anything, just listing the program. And then go to the help. And Hydra list PDF manuals and Hydra list manual open. And see if you can find page 94. There it is. So that for the next 50 pages is that tutorial. It just says do this, do that, and you'll create a stock list for that simple project. Looks very much like ours.
I do find that listing manually helps me find a lot of design errors and things like that.
Yeah. Yes, because it's the same information in a different format. My story about that is in the old days when we first started doing CAD, we would work for weeks and weeks and weeks on our computer screen, and eventually we would push the plot button, and the plotter was this thing with an arm going back and forth, and the papers kind of going through. And it would take like 4 hours to plot a 24 by 36-inch paper or something. But that was the first time I got to see all my 2 weeks worth of work on a piece of paper. And about 10 minutes in, invariably, I would be standing there mesmerized by the thing going back and forth. And 10 minutes in, I would say, oh shit. Meaning I found something that wasn't right.
Yep.
And cancel the plot. But point was I was seeing it in a different format, and mistakes just popped out of the screen, popped off of that paper then. So great comment, and I totally agree. Let's close this and get to slide 39. And with 12 minutes to go, we've actually gotten through all of the material for today. But wait, we're not quite done today, and I don't know if we'll make it in exactly 12 minutes, but we'll get partway through. We've got that leftover stuff from lesson 2 that I carried the slides over to lesson 3, and I carried them again to lesson 4. So let's see if we can get those last few things done from lesson 2. First one said we had already added lots of views and stuff to our sheets, but we didn't get our sprinkler schedule on the sheet. So we're going to go find the sprinkler schedule. We're going to tweak it out a little bit, and then we're going to drag it onto our 24 by 36-inch sheet. So back in Revit, in the project browser, is a sprinkler schedule. Down a little bit. One more. There you go. Now, in column A, there's something filled in there, but on most projects, the first time you go here, that'll be blank. Click right in column A on line 1 there. It might have brought up on the other screen this. So it says these upright heads, what symbol did you use? And there's a list of all the symbols. You just click that first picture and it'll use that symbol on the legend. So it'll say what it's looking for. This change will be applied. That's fine. Then there's 48 sprinklers and their description is reliable, half-inch, ordinary, upright, quick response model something. The half-inch is the orifice size, and column F says orifice size. So that's sort of a duplicate. We could do without column F, and the way we're going to do without it is over in the properties panel. Do you see there's a thing for fields? Edit, click on that. Fields edit. And the list of fields includes orifice size. We're going to click on that and throw it back in all the ones on the left are things you could report. We threw it back into the list and then we're not going to report it. So pick OK. And now it's one column shorter. The K factor is not there and the sin is not there. But if that long description included the sin, you could either delete the sin column or you could edit the description to take the sin out. That's the sort of tweaking that I was talking about in slide 40. So we've tweaked it. Let's go back to the sheet. Let's go find sheet FP1 in the project browser and we'll open that up. You're in the project browser under views, Michael, and then after views is legends, and after legends is schedules. Down. Okay. Then after schedules is sheets. So double click on that. There's the sheet that we built in lesson 2, and it doesn't have a sprinkler schedule on it yet. So find the sprinkler schedule up in the project browser under schedules. And grab the sprinkler schedule and drag it onto the sheet. Perfect. And you see there's a picture. It's maybe too tiny. If you click on the schedule, yep, there, and you see the little triangles at the top of the columns. If you make the column a little bit wider, that picture will get a little bit bigger. Be careful not to make it too wider, but there you go. So you can sort of decide what's an appropriate size for that. You can also smush the columns down a little bit. Again, like we made that column wider, you could make the description column narrower with those triangles. And if you double click where it says sin parentheses Hydrotech, and then double click on it in here, you could get rid of parentheses Hydrotech. And check back on the sheet. Didn't go. Hit enter. There we go. Then click back on sheet and that's gone. So you could make that column narrower if you wanted to. Okay, let's keep moving. Slide 41 talks about getting some 2D details. And there is in the help video, if we search for 2D details, there's a place to download a Revit file. And that Revit file has a sheet of piping details and a sheet of hanger details. And we can just copy and paste things out of there. It also has some instructions as to how you could add or subtract more details to that sheet if you wanted to. So back in Revit, let's stay on this sheet here and close all the other views. There's a button on the quick access toolbar at 90% with a little red X. That'll close all those other tabs. So this project has just this sheet open. Now go to the help pull down and go to the help videos. And in the search, type 2D details. And there's that project. Pick view and pick download. Yep. And that'll probably go pretty quickly. In here, in the project, you went to Windows File Explorer, click on Downloads, open up Downloads. And there it is there. Good. So you found it downloaded, you double clicked on it. It was originally created in Revit 2020, which makes it useful in 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Since you're using 2026, it's upgrading from 2020 to 2026. When you're done, if you do a file save as or just a file save, it'll be in Revit 26. And the next time you go to use it, it'll just open. It won't have to go through the upgrade. And once it's open, we'll be able to copy and paste piping details or copy and paste hanger details from that thing to this thing. While this is opening, it's a little bit hiding, but the view in the upper left-hand corner of our submittal plan, I think, is not cropped, so the underground piping is showing up on our sheet. We'll come back to that. Now that we've opened this other project, look in the project browser and you see there's two sheets, DH1 and DP1. DH is hanger details. And click on that first hanger detail, the top beam clamp, the rod, and the ring. Control C or right click and copy. And then back here you can Control V, and that just says they've got text and we've got text. We're using our text. And then click there. And then you can switch back to the other view and get another hanger, maybe the trapeze.
Those detail groups or drafting views, or what are those?
Yeah, I believe they are detail groups.
Okay.
And
Right.
I spent time on that to decide should I, there was a couple of different ways to do it, and I settled on that one.
What does that mean?
What
Like
does
the-
detail group mean?
Yeah.
It's a
or draft group,
Revit thing.
obviously.
Yeah.
So it's like a family. It's like a block. It's a kind of block. It's you draw a bunch of lines, then you take that bunch of lines and say, make that into a block. In the closest thing between Revit and AutoCAD is that a family is a block. A family in Revit is a block in AutoCAD. And I don't remember there being groups in AutoCAD or not, but sort of a lightweight block is grab all this stuff and give it a name and hold it together without actually filing it as a separate drawing. So it behaves like a block. It's just, there's some different flavors of them. And the description of that is, if you go to the sheet that says Startup View Instructions, you have
something
three
like that.
tabs open. Oh, there.
Yeah, I backed out, but now everything else is great. Then the box.
Double click. Oh, while you're here, we're trying to get this cropped. So you're working on that view that I'm saying wanted to be cropped. So over there, just crop that view. Okay, and now uncheck crop region visible, because that's ugly. And now double click outside of everything.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
And I talked with someone else. They hadn't used that in AutoCAD.
No.
That same feature is in AutoCAD. If you're on paper space and your paper space has a bunch of model views. If you double click in one of those model views, you can work on it right there. And then you have to double click outside the paper to get back to paper space. Got it?
That makes sense.
Alternatively, you could open that view and make changes and then come back here and those changes would be made. One last thing, I wanted to get on to the sheet. I wanted to get some general notes. So let's, but this describes how that was done, Dave, by how I made it a group
Okay.
and how you can edit the group and stuff. But it's by no means exclusive and you have to
Yeah.
do it that way.
hmm
I just didn't want to spend time drawing lines and circles and text and stuff. So we'll close those last two tabs.
Yeah.
And now we're back to our regular model. And we're on this sheet. I want to add some general notes, which is just typing some text right in here. If you take the two hanger details and you smush them over to the right a little bit, we'll have some room in the middle there to write some notes. And Michael, there's also, when you want to move stuff and get it perfectly aligned, there's a modify button called Align. Yeah, and it works backwards. To this, align that. So to the border of the title block on the right. Hard to pick. Yeah, to that, align that, and then to that, align that. It goes pretty quick, but you gotta reprogram yourself. To this, align that. In English and every other place, I think you're gonna say align this to that. So here we're gonna go to annotate and then text. Perfect. And then just click there and start typing general notes. Colon, enter, and then make up a whole bunch of general notes. To speed that up, in the Windows File Explorer, if you go to Hgrs Basic Training, yep, and then AutoCAD Backgrounds, I put a text file in there that you didn't get. Try again. Basic Training, go back up. Basic Training, AutoCAD Backgrounds. Nope. All right. So one of our downloads went sideways. But you can pick any text file from anywhere and then just copy and paste text.
Not finding it.
So ditch it. Just say note 1, note 2, note 3. There's our general notes.
There is
But
some formatting you can do now.
yes, like you can
Okay.
put bullets and numbers and
Okay.
indents and stuff like that. That almost followed the AutoCAD scheme. They came out with Notepad and then they added WordPad and then they were approaching Word. Good deal. And I think I'm going to save slides 43, 4, 5, or 43, 4, and 5 till Thursday. We're there. We've got a beautiful thing. And if between now and Thursday, you want to spend a little bit of time cleaning stuff up and adding some dimensions and all of that, all the cleanup and everything you do, we'll make it in before we put it on a piece of paper. But I'll save these last couple of slides for, we'll take all of our work and we'll get it on a PDF, printed out, ready to go to the printer. So I'm going to skip slide 43, 44, and 45 and say, there we are. We've got that thing. We've got all that stuff on that sheet, and we're going to take that sheet and do the plot to get it on the paper. And I will also on Thursday talk about sloped pipes under a Butler building roof, sloped pipes for a dry system. And I will ask you to send me an email or even pop up in the last minute here and say, I really wish we had covered, or I wish I could see some other stuff. But if you send me an email between now and Thursday, I'll come ready to answer those questions. And if you don't, I'll fly by the seat of my pants and answer all of those questions as they come up on Thursday. Does anyone have one they want to offer right now?
I have one.
Go ahead.
Same sprinkler head, but different temperatures. And
Yep.
I'd like to use a different block. How can I do that?
So the sprinkler head we picked was that reliable one. So I'll put that on the list.
Like
I'm
say,
only
yeah,
answering.
yeah. Like
But
say these
same
ones are high.
sprinkler. Yeah. Different temp, different symbol, right?
Right. Correct.
Same sprinkler, different temp, different symbol. Will do. Anyone else?
Is it not common that you use like a view title on those details?
Those details kind of had the title built into them.
Okay.
And so I kind of got away with that, but because
Mhm.
because they're annotation groups, I don't think they come with a view title. If I had made them drafting views,
Okay.
then the drafting view would be a view title.
Yeah. Yeah. That's our standard. So yeah, I'd have
Yep.
to change all that stuff.
And I think you could get away with copy and paste if you wanted to. You could copy and paste this stuff into a drafting view.
drafting. Yeah.
Yeah, into a drafting view.
Yeah, because we use the view references too, so we would point to a fitting
Oh
or
yeah,
something,
yeah. Yep.
and it would reference the detail. Yeah, we do all that
Yep.
stuff. Okay, just making
Nice.
sure.
So I'm also going to use Revit background. Anyone else?
Was what you were just talking about, Dave, like a detail of like a small, like an orientation of how you want it set up type thing you were talking about?
Yeah, it would just be, like he said, it's like an AutoCAD detail that you already have. We imported those into our Revit model, made it a detail group or drafting view, and then it just becomes like another view, but it's just lines, circles, and squares.
Got it. Okay.
So
I'm going to add drafting view to our list for Thursday because we didn't happen to have one of those in our exercise here in classes 1 to 4. But like Dave said, a drafting view is another view. We have a floor plan, we have a section view, we have an elevation view. Another type of view is a drafting view. But what's unique about a drafting view is it's not intended to display your model. It's just a blank piece of paper that you can draw lines and circles and text on any way that you want. Other than that, it is draggable onto a sheet or any of the other stuff you want to do. Any other thoughts for Thursday? Thursday's coming right up. But if you do have any thoughts, please, Al at slide 47, I think has got Al at hydrocad.com. And send it along. And if you come Thursday morning and at 6 a.m. Thursday morning, something occurs to you, just come with that thought in your head and we'll add it to the list. That's kind of a freewheeling lesson. Congratulations, everybody. We tried hard and we tried hard and we tried hard and we finally got to, hey, we covered all the material and even caught up a little bit. I love it. Great job driving today, Michael. Thank you for that. And I will see you all on Thursday. Have a great 2 days coming up. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.